Pause for a moment. Let your shoulders drop. Take a deep breath, deeper than usual. The place and time you're in right now are not an accident. This is part of your journey. Long before you arrived here, life was already preparing this moment in your story. Today, I need you to understand something. The path you were on has shifted. Not because you failed, but because you've grown. What once fit no longer carries the weight of who you are now. What you went through wasn't a waste. It was growth, it was expansion. You haven't been lost, you've been becoming. And now it's time to step into what comes next. This moment didn't cross your path by chance. You were led, guided, drawn here by something greater than your understanding. Because I needed you to hear this not as encouragement, but as confirmation. The reason things have felt out of rhythm is because the rhythm changed. The reason certain things fell away wasn't punishment. I was pruning, he was preparing, and now I am releasing you from the limitations of your former self. The old blueprint has been revised. The architecture of your journey has been redrawn in heaven's ink. You didn't disqualify yourself. You outgrew the previous assignment. There are moments in a life when heaven recalibrates, when the coordinates of your calling shift into something larger than you imagined. That is what this is. I haven't changed my mind about loving you, but I have changed the map. The destination is still glory, but the road to get there has been upgraded, refined, rooted through grace. Do you feel the tremble in your chest? That's your spirit catching up with what heaven already knows. This is not just a turning point. This is a total handover of everything that came before. The fear, the hesitation, the constant wondering if you were late or wrong, or missed your chance. None of that belongs in the space you are walking into. You're standing on the edge of what was and what will now be, and what I'm about to do will silence every lie that tried to define you. The season of surviving is closing. The season of surrender is giving way to the season of sureness. You are not being delayed. You are being deepened. What felt like a pause was me positioning you for precision. This new path won't ask you to prove yourself. It will ask you to be yourself. The version of you that kept holding on when nothing made sense. The version that kept choosing light in the dark. That version has unlocked access to an anointing that wasn't available before. I need you to look back just for a moment, not Tudwell, but to remember. Remember the times you almost gave up. The nights you couldn't sleep because the weight of wondering felt too heavy. The days you wore a smile just to hide the ache. I saw it all. I measured every tear. I counted each silent prayer. And I stored them like seeds in the soil of heaven. Now those seeds are breaking open. Now is the beginning of the harvest. I promised you when all you it was hope. This change isn't just about your life, it's about the lives connected to yours, because what you carry is no longer just potential. It is power. Quiet power, sacred power. Heaven-infused influence that doesn't need permission to move. You wondered why it had to be this hard, why so many people couldn't stay, why the road got narrower the further you walked. My child, it's because not everyone was equipped to witness what I was building inside you. You weren't just being humbled. You were being hidden, tucked beneath the surface, while I constructed something unstoppable. And now the unveiling begins. But this unveiling will not be a spotlight. It will be a shift in atmosphere. You will walk into rooms, and the space will recognize your authority before you even speak. You will pray, and the weight of heaven will follow your words. You will rest, and even in your stillness, healing will ripple out from you. There are things I withheld because I needed your character to be strong enough to carry them. There are opportunities I delayed because what I'm giving you now is too important to be risked by rushed maturity. You didn't lose time. I was storing it, and I am now redeeming it. Every quiet season, every closed door, every time someone said you were too much or not enough, none of that was wasted. It was training. It was trimming. And now the garments of glory are being placed upon you. This change in plans isn't an apology. It's an elevation. You are not who you used to be. That's why you can't stay where you used to be. There is an echo forming behind you, not of applause, but of alignment. The heavens are harmonizing with your next step. The things that used to intimidate you will now make way for you. What used to drain you will now recognize the light within you and shrink back, because I am not just changing your path. I'm changing your presence. You carry something now that can't be shaken by external resistance. You've been through too much to be moved by the surface level. Your roots go deep, deeper than trauma, deeper than disappointment, deeper than fear. That's why you're still standing, and that's why I can trust you with what's next. This isn't about being seen. It's about being sent. You are a carrier of something consecrated. Your voice, your story, your stillness, they're all instruments I've tuned for this new melody. You won't have to force people to understand anymore. The ones meant to run with you will hear the rhythm and respond. They'll feel it in their spirit before they even meet you. Don't shrink to make them comfortable. I didn't redesign you to fit old frameworks. I rebuilt you to introduce something the world hasn't seen yet, something forged in fire. And what emerges from fire doesn't apologize for shinning. You were misread because your depth made others feel shallow. You were overlooked because your stillness was mistaken for smallness. But I never missed a moment of your movement. I watched you choose faith while you questioned everything. I saw the cost, and now I'm releasing the return. But hear me, this isn't about being rewarded. It's about being readied. You're being trusted with territory, emotional, spiritual, relational territory that was once locked to you. The key was not your strength. It was your surrender. You're entering a place where your presence will break patterns. Cycles will stop simply because you walked in the room. Strongholds will tremble because your spirit no longer carries the residue of fear. I cleaned that. I healed that. I rewrote that. And now you walk as one who has been rooted not by mistake, but by divine order. Their roads others took won't work for you. The methods they used won't apply because I am making a new way in you and through you. A way carved by obedience, a way lit by revelation, a way confirmed by peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Let them wonder how it happened. Let them question how you endured. Let them try to explain away the weight you now carry. You don't owe explanations. You owe alignment. Stay close to me. Stay sensitive. You'll know what to say and when to be silent, because this shift isn't loud. It's holy, and I will do more in one moment of surrender than you could in years of striving. The world will call it sudden, but you will know it was sacred. You are not rising by accident. You are being lifted by design, my design. The plan has changed, my child, and it starts now. Let me show you something. The path that seemed unfamiliar. The road that narrowed just when you thought it would widen. The unexpected delays that made you question your direction. They were not detours. They were divine disguises. I hid you in plain sight, not to diminish you, but to develop you. It needed the weight of your calling to be matched by the strength of your character. And now your time beneath the surface has come to its end. What was growing quietly is about to speak loudly, not in volume, but in value. The kind of value that shifts rooms without effort. The kind of presence that does not need introduction, because heaven already whispered your name into the spaces you're about to enter. This is why the shaking had to happen. You thought things were falling apart, but they were falling into place. I removed certain comforts because they were too small for where I'm taking you. What once felt like a blessing would now be a burden. I didn't let it stay because it couldn't carry the new version of you I've shaped in the fire. The whispers that told you you were behind, that too much time had passed, that you missed something important, those weren't truth. They were distractions sent to slow your pace. But what I put inside, you isn't bound by human timing. My calling doesn't expire. My grace doesn't age. And now it rises. Though you've questioned if you're ready, you've looked around and felt out of place. Too soft for the hard edges of the world. Too deep for shallow conversations. But I didn't create you to blend in. I formed you to shift things. That uneasy feeling you carry in familiar places is not weakness. It's revelation. It's your spirit sensing that what once held you can no longer contain you. You've been pressing against the edges of an old season, and now those walls are cracking. I'm opening space, not just for movement, but for expansion. You're not just walking into something new, you're becoming someone new. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You don't need to defend what I'm doing. You don't need to explain what they can't see. There is a new authority resting on your voice, not because of volume, but because of alignment. The kind of alignment that causes heaven to back your words. When you speak now, you're not just offering comfort, you're carrying shift. You will see things move in people's lives, not because you tried harder, but because you're finally walking in step with what I wrote over you long ago. That alignment between who you are and what you carry is the birthplace of spiritual impact. I've been guarding your potential like treasure. That's why some doors slammed shut before you could step through. Not every opportunity was rejection. Some were protection, because exposure before preparation is dangerous. And I care more about your lasting impact than your temporary applause. What I'm giving you now isn't just visibility, it's vision. You will see with sharper clarity. You will sense with deeper knowing. And most of all, you will move with greater peace, because when heaven initiates the next chapter, chaos loses its voice. You are entering a space where strategy must yield to surrender, where the plans you carefully crafted now bow to the unfolding I have written. This doesn't mean your planning was wrong. It means my timing is right. What I'm building in you now doesn't need your perfection. It needs your permission. Permission to let go. Permission to step forward. Permission to stop second-guessing what I've confirmed in your spirit again and again. You already know this season is different. You felt the stirring, the disruption, the divine dissatisfaction. That's me shifting you out of survival and into significance. Even your silence has been sacred. The moments when you couldn't explain your process, when you stopped trying to convince others to understand, those were holy. I used those silences to strengthen your discernment, to deepen your roots, to teach you the sound of my voice above all others. Now when I whisper, you hear me without hesitation. That clarity will lead you. That stillness you fought so hard to find will now guide others through storms they cannot name. Because what I developed in you quietly will now echo loudly. And yes, some people will reappear. Not because they've changed, but because your shift is drawing attention. Be wise, be gentle, but do not be distracted. This elevation is not a return to old cycles. It's a rising beyond them. You are not being lifted to revisit old pain. You are being positioned to lead others into freedom. Your life is now a map for those who feel lost in the waiting. They won't need your perfection. They'll need your presence. The one that survived fire without bitterness. The one that walked through isolation and came out with integrity. The one that let go of what was to make room for what is. You're not who you were, and that's the evidence of the shift. You don't react the same. You don't chase the same. You don't need what once drained you. That's not coldness. It's clarity. And that clarity is the foundation for this new phase. You won't build with what once broke you. You'll build with what remained after the storm. Your peace, your persistence, your praise, and the pain, those were your bricks. And now I'm handing you the blueprint. There will be moments that feel surreal, where what once was dreamt will suddenly be seen. Don't let it make you shrink. Don't let it make you question if you deserve it. You're not stepping into reward. You're stepping into responsibility. This is not the end of your becoming. It is the beginning of your building. What I'm trusting you with now is not just for comfort, but for calling. Not just for personal healing, but for generational transformation. You were the shift they didn't see coming, the change they didn't prepare for, the light they couldn't extinguish. And when you walk forward, confident, quiet, rooted, you'll know this is what the shaking was for. This is why the waiting had weight. This is why the rejection was necessary. It was never about punishment. It was about protection, about preparation, about precision. And now it's about presence. Yours in the fullness of who I created you to be. Not watered down, not explained away, just present, whole here. Because the plan has changed and it starts now. There is something happening in the atmosphere around you. It's subtle, yet unmistakable. The winds that once resisted you have begun to shift behind you. The current that pushed against your spirit is now moving in your favor. The pressure you felt was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to sharpen your senses. You've been trained in the unseen, instructed insolence, matured without applause. And now, as the air shifts and the heavens align, everything around you is beginning to reflect the truth of what has already changed within you. You are not the same. And because you are not the same, nothing around you will remain the same either. You are beginning to see it now. Conversations feel different. Spaces feel lighter or heavier, and you can tell which is which without explanation. You're not imagining this. That discomfort you feel when something is off, that's discernment, not anxiety. That peace you carry even when things around you don't make sense, that's authority, no ignorance. I have been establishing spiritual intelligence in you, the ability to sense beyond words, to know beyond facts, to see beyond appearances. This is the gift of the season you're entering. You will not be fooled by the surface. You will be guided by truth. The truth about you is this. Your sensitivity is not your weakness. It is your weapon. It's what has allowed you to feel my voice in places where others only heard noise. It's what made you cry when others kept moving. It's what made you pause when others rushed in. You saw more because you carried more. And you carried more because I trusted you with more. Even when you didn't trust yourself. Even when you questioned why you were so different. Why your heart seemed too deep, too tender, too affected. I was forming something rare, a vessel strong enough to hold weight without cracking, open enough to carry light without leaking. That's why the path was not crowded. I could not allow too many voices to mold you. I needed the silence to shape you. I needed this stillness to speak what only your spirit could receive. The kind of wisdom that can't be taught in words, only whispered in wilderness. And now that you've heard me there, now that my voice has become familiar, you will no longer mistake a noise for direction. You will no longer follow movement without meaning. You will know when to go, and more importantly, you will know when to stay. This is a spiritual release, not just from what held you back, but from what no longer defines you. You are no longer bound to the identity shaped by struggle. You are no longer the person who had to prove their worth through performance. I'm lifting that weight. I'm removing that expectation. You don't have to earn what I've already decided to give. My grace has spoken over you. My hand has covered you. My plans have changed. But my love for you has never wavered. This shift isn't proof that I'm distant. It's proof that I'm deeply involved. I am the author and the editor of your story. And today I'm turning the page. Not everyone will understand what's happening. Some will try to bring you back into who you used to be. Some willingly remember your earlier chapters. Let them. You don't need to rewrite their memory. Just walk in your renewal. Their understanding is not your responsibility. Your obedience is. Keep walking forward. Even when their words echo from behind, I'm not taking you back. I'm revealing what I've been preparing while you walked forward in faith. And when they see it, they won't recognize how or when it changed. That's because I did it in the hidden places, the places where their eyes couldn't follow, but where my spirit dwelled fully. You've paid a price in silence. You've been faithful in secret. And now I'm about to reveal the fruit of that faithfulness. Not for show, not for validation, but for testimony. Because others are watching your journey. They won't always admit it, but they've been watching to see what happens when someone trusts me, even when nothing makes sense. They've been watching to see if surrender leads anywhere. And when they see where I am taking you, they'll begin to believe again. They'll begin to ask again. They'll begin to hope again. But this is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving my word true. The quiet promises I whispered to you when no one else could hear them. Those are the ones I'm fulfilling now. The dreams that wouldn't die even after disappointment hit over and over. Those are the seeds I'm now causing to sprout. You thought you lost them, but they were simply buried deeper than you expected. Now the soil is breaking. Now the light is touching places in you that haven't felt hope in a long time. And now your heart is remembering how to believe again. It's okay that you've been cautious. It's okay that joy feels unfamiliar. That's what healing does. It makes old emotions feel new again. You're not broken for feeling uncertain. You're being rebuilt. Your mind is adjusting to a reality your spirit already accepted. You're not in the same place anymore. The spiritual chains you carried are no longer there. The weight on your shoulders is lighter. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. And now you walk in a different rhythm, a divine rhythm, one that can't be rushed, one that can't be faked. I'm not asking you to force anything. I'm asking you to flow with me. With this timing, with this path, you'll know where to go next. Not through logic alone, but through peace. That peace will guard you. That peace will lead you. That peace will protect you from everything that once distracted you. You no longer need to chase open doors. You are the key now. And where you step, access will follow. Because this isn't about status, it's about stewardship. You've been faithful with little, and now I trust you with more. But remember, this shift comes with a stillness, a quiet strength. You don't need to shout your purpose. You don't need to convince anyone of your calling. The light it placed in you will speak louder than any explanation. The presence you carry will say more than your words ever could. You've been marked in the unseen. And now that mark is becoming visible to those with eyes to see, to those with hearts ready to receive. But not all will understand, and that's okay. This isn't about being understood. It's about being aligned with me, with heaven, with who you truly are. The plan has changed, not because you failed, but because you've been found faithful. You're not being replaced. You're being repositioned higher, deeper, wiser, stronger, ready. And now that you've seen this part of the journey, there's no going back. You've tasted something eternal, and what's eternal cannot be shaken by what's temporary. You are walking forward, child, into purpose, into power, into peace. And though your steps may feel small, the ground beneath you is shifting. Heaven is making room, the earth is responding, and the shift you feel isn't just personal, it's prophetic, because the plan has changed, and it starts now. You may not realize it yet, but you've already crossed over. You've stepped out of the wilderness and into the whisper. You are now standing in a space that heaven prepared long before the battle ever began. And though it may not look different around you yet, the difference within you has already shifted everything. There's a quiet strength rising inside of you now. Not pride, not perfection, but presence, a knowing. A deep, sacred knowing that says, I'm not who I used to be. You're not the same person who entered that valley. You are the one who made it out carrying fire and faith. Your voice may still tremble, but it carries heaven now. Your hands may still shake, but they heal as they move. Your feet may still feel tired, but every step you take is marked in the Spirit. You don't need to force this next season. You just need to walk in it. And as you walk, things will align. Doors will open without you knocking. Rooms will light up before you speak. The right people will find you without searching. Because this season is not about striving. It's about stepping in. Stepping into what already ordained, into what I already finished. Let the world call I too unexpected. Let the doubters call it coincidence. But you will know this is the fulfillment of a word spoken over your life before your first breath. This is the divine convergence of surrender and timing. This is what it looks like when obedience becomes power. You've waited long enough. You've fought quietly long enough. You've endured misunderstandings and silence, exile and isolation. But now I'm lifting you not for applause, for assignment, not for attention, for authority. Because this is more than restoration. This is resurrection. Every broken piece has been made beautiful. Every scar now shines. Every wound has become a window for my light to pour through. The same areas where you cried will now be places where others are healed through you. What once felt like punishment is now revealed as preparation. My child, I was never punishing you. I was purifying you. I wasn't ignoring you. I was investing in you. And now the evidence is here. On your voice, on your peace, on your glow. Even on the way you enter a room, you're not entering as who you were. You're entering as who I called. You'll begin to notice how light you feel. The old weight has dropped. The striving has lifted. And the burden to explain yourself is gone. You no longer owe the past an apology for becoming who I designed you to be. You no longer need to water yourself down to be accepted. You no longer have to explain your calling to those who were never meant to carry it with you. From this moment forward, your purpose speaks. Your life is a sermon. Your walk is a witness. And your silence is a sanctuary. I have marked you with something eternal, a radiant boldness that cannot be undone, a softness that breaks chains, a joy that confuses shadows. Your tears have been turned into oil. Your story has become sacred. And everywhere you go, that fragrance will follow you. It will make even the hardest hearts pause. It will wake up those who've been sleeping in sorrow. It will call the forgotten ones to remember that they are still chosen. Through your healing, others will heal. Through your rising, others will rise. And now I ask one thing of you, my child. Walk boldly. Don't tiptoe into the blessing I've placed before you. Don't doubt your own deliverance. This shift didn't come because you were lucky. It came because you were loyal to me, to the process, to the path. Now walk into the fullness of that reward, not just with your body, but with your faith, with your words, with your vision. Let your presence declare the plan changed, but my God never did. Let those around you see the glow in your eyes and say, surely the hand of God icened them. Let them hear your voice and sense peace without knowing why. Let them wonder how you kept going. And let your spirit answer without words, because the truth is, you were never walking alone. I walked with you, and now I walk before you. And so I say this over you again. The plan has changed, and it starts now. If this word has reached your heart, if your spirit felt the shift in these lines, then this message was yours. You weren't just listening. You are being spoken to, chosen, seen, sent. So take a moment, whisper it aloud. Jesus, I receive this. If you felt this in your soul, let the heavens know. Type Amen in the comments below, not just as a word, but as a declaration that you're ready. Ready to walk in what God has spoken. Ready to rise in what heaven has assigned. Ready to become who you were always meant to be. You didn't miss it. You were made for this, and now it begins.